Greetings, YouTube. Happy Monday. Starting out this Monday with you've been chosen for early feedback on a potential new feature for MCOC. Ho, ho, ho. Well, we're going to have to figure out what that is in another video. But that is not this video, because this video is all about Catalyst fragment bundles. So I'm guessing most people got this survey. And we'll have to discuss. I might not be able to do this until at the end of the day when I get off work, but we'll have to discuss what we think of this new potential feature, or as they say, a potential new feature. But that is not what we are breaking down today. We are breaking down the holy cow. I feel so bad for people who bought the really, really, really bad deal, which was, essentially the gamble of most. Now, the Thronebreaker one was decent. It was like a C rating, but the Catalyst bundles a couple days ago, the 4-year-old buy a tier 4 basic and a tier 1 alpha for $20 deals. Well, if you're Thronebreaker, they're still priced in tier 2 alpha a little too low. I think they're $5 a piece, and they're pricing them at $10. But remember when tier 5 basic Catalyst first came out in the game, they were 4,500 tier 5 basic, or 10% of a fully formed, for an Odin for $100. That means that they priced a tier 5 basic at $1,000, meaning it took $2,000 to take a 5-star to rank 5, or $3,000 to take a 6-star to rank 2, plus, of course, all the other items you need and rank up materials you need, including ISO and gold. So they're back to the retail price of gold, which I always say on this channel is $100,000 per $10 spent. Of course, if you are in a country like Canada, where Kabam is headquartered, you will be paying more than that, plus tax. But in general, that is the standard price of gold we've seen since 2015, and that has not changed. But the price of a tier 5 basic at $20 is amongst the cheapest we've seen. Now, of course, the Glory Store buff, the Glory Store changes, even things like daily Thronebreaker crystals, it's much easier to get tier 5 class Catalyst. I wish that this could be a 10% tier 5 class Catalyst fragment selector for $20, but I will say that we are routinely used to seeing them charge $50 for a 20%. And so sometimes you have to make a decision based off of what you need. If you were to buy all three of these, you'd get a 15% essentially tier 5 class Catalyst fragment selector for $60. And yes, these things used to start as a 10%er for $50. And so if you compare it to that, this feels like it's $10 off. Plus you'll get 2 tier 5 basic and 4 tier 2 alpha. But I still price this at about a C grade. Now the tough part is it's going to tell you based on your story progression is what you see. So I sometimes, like the last bundle, got to grade every single offer because it showed every single offer, where now it's almost like they're saving server space by only giving you one bundle. I at least think that's the case, because it's certainly not for profit, but they must have realized that Thronebreakers aren't buying the cheaper offers. They're not buying the ones for Uncollected or Conqueror, and so why take up the server space to give more people those offers when you can just give them one? That's a theory. Hasn't been confirmed, but I'd like to think that's the reason why they do this. Either way, I don't think this is a terrible deal. I actually think it's a better deal than we've seen in most cases for tier 5 basic. A average at best deal for tier 2 alpha, certainly average of gold, and somewhere between slightly above average to average for the tier 5 class Catalyst fragment selector. Now, if you're like me and you're already holding, like I've got a Cosmic, since I just took Sparkles to rank 3 that's not close to being formed. I have a Mutant that's already formed, and I'm less than 15,000 away from forming that. Already got a Science that's formed. I've got a Mystic that's formed, and I'm close-ish to a skill and a tech. So none of these offers are going to put me over the top, right? 10% of a tier 5 tech is 4,500. So 15% is 7,750. Is that right? 7,750. Either way, if you're close to forming and you really want to take that next 6-star to rank 3, I can see why it's tempting. This is certainly encouraging to see this as an offer for tier 5 basic, but I also acknowledge that it's much easier to get fully formed tier 5 basic, even just from things like the login calendar, right? So this overall, I'm going to give a C+. I think it's better than average. I certainly understand. Anytime I rate something a C+ or higher, that's saying to you, hey, if you can use this, if you need this, I approve it, but it doesn't have the same mortgage your house level value. That's a joke, by the way. Don't actually mortgage your house for a mobile game. But it doesn't have the same kind of value that a July 4th or Cyber Weekend. Obviously, those are 2 to 3 times a year if you now include the spring cleaning event. And so you just can't really compare things to that, which is why when I graded a C+, sometimes it'll be like, oh, that's way too generous compared. Well, you can't compare it to the outlier. You have to give it to an everyday kind of grade. And an everyday, it's like a 78%. Not bad, not amazing, but still better than average.